About 200 workers were employed at the Avondale colliery, with the workforce being predominantly Welsh. A 3-month strike had just ended, and the day shift was in the mine on Monday, September 6, 1869. The wooden coal breaker, which was situated directly above the one and only mine shaft, caught fire. As the fire raged through the wooden building, miners were trapped over 240 feet below in the mine. As soon as word had spread about the fire at Avondale, a panic-stricken crowd hurried to the mine. Below ground, the miners did their very best to try to wait out the fire. They made their way to the farthest points in the mine chambers, away from the shaft, and built a barricade to conserve precious good air. Unfortunately, the fire above eventually filled the entire mine with deadly gases. The trapped miners had no chance for survival. When the fire was finally extinguished, David Jones and Thomas Williams volunteered to descend the mine shaft to search for the trapped miners. When they did not signal to be brought to the surface, other volunteers went down to check on them. Both Jones and Williams were found overcome by deadly carbon monoxide. Eventually, all 108 victims were brought to the surface. Newspaper accounts described the horror spectacle. The news of this terrible tragedy circulated throughout the world. Since 69 of the 108 miners were Welsh, the news of the disaster struck many families and mining communities in Wales. The Avondale disaster was known as the Welsh tragedy. One of the first global relief efforts occurred after the disaster, with donations for the families of victims arriving from all over the world. Another result of the fire was the enacting by the Pennsylvania General Assembly of legislation establishing safety regulations for the coal mining industry, making Pennsylvania the first state to enact such legislation. These laws mandated, among other things, that there must be at least 2 entrances to underground mines. The disaster also caused thousands of miners to join the Working Men's Benevolent Association, one of the first unions to represent coal miners in the United States. Continuing labor and social strife in the Pennsylvania anthracite coal fields resulted in an increase of the activities of the Molly Maguires, a controversial organization that conducted violent attacks against anthracite coal mine operators. These conflicts eventually resulted in the trial and execution of 20 members of the Molly Maguires in Pottsville and present-day Jim Thorpe.